Hi guys, welcome to the Dubai Jiggy Show. It's Nermeen, and today we're joined by Mr. Khaled Ghorab.
Whoop whoop.
Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Khaled is actually my ex-coach.
Da-da-da.
Yes, we met through a friend's event where he was giving a coaching workshop, and there were actually 3 workshops that day, and somehow I really connected with him and the tools that he was providing. And I couldn't afford it at that time, but I went up to him and I was like, how do we do this? How do we work together? I'm going through some ish. And and then you were like, okay, we'll figure this out. It took me 1 month to finally become his client because he had to vet me. Did you guys know that? That coaches vet and assess their clients to see if they could work together. So it took me 1 month and we finally got it. I got in, and I passed the assessment.
Yeah, and it cost you also your pinky instead of money. So I still have your pinky.
So, Mr. Khaled, tell us about you.
I respond to specific questions. What exactly do you want to know?
Who are you?
That's like a very philosophical
Who is
question.
Khaled?
Khaled is a very warm, witty, inviting individual who sees the world in twos. So when he looks at people, he sees partnerships. And that's what makes him wake up in the morning and want to make a difference in the world.
Okay.
And so that's why at some point, after being in the coaching world for a while, I was like, you know what, I need to give myself a title that makes me stand out a little because everybody is a coach for some reason. So I titled myself the relationships architect. So the first part of it is because I'm all about relationships and partnerships in all walks of life, whether it's love life, friendships, business, you name it. And the architect part is actually a tribute to my father, who instilled in me from a very young age the value of partnerships. And he's an architect. So I also have a belief that relationships can be designed. In fact, they must be designed to get what we want, whether it's success in business and profit and revenue, or it's a better marriage, or it's a better friendship, or you name it.
So you have started your business at like 23 or 24, right?
Yeah, 24.
So what happened? You grew up here in UAE. You went to university. What did you study?
I studied IT.
Yes.
At the American University in Dubai. And I worked in IT for about 2 years-ish, tops 3. And then I started to realize, you know what, this is not for me. And I could feel that something in me says, you have better stuff to offer. I don't know what it is. And one day I was driving back from work. I was working as an IT engineer in Abu Dhabi. And I was so frustrated that I parked the car on the side and I just screamed at the top of my lungs. And that was the moment for me when I realized, you know what, this is not happening. I can't stay.
What was frustrating you?
I think it was the toxic work environment. The politics obviously comes with anything in life, but some politics are just so bad. I didn't feel like I was really offering something. Some of the things that I did were manipulative because that was the work environment to manipulate, or at least one of the things that was there. And I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
It felt like this is the natural course of every Egyptian human being's life that I was part of. And my top value is freedom, which I came to discover later on. And I realized, oh my God, this is not freedom. I'm not talking freedom like United States freedom, but freedom as in how much can I expand, grow, and contribute as a human being. And I felt like I was just very stagnant there. And there was always a ceiling. And I hated that. And I was dealing with very tough individuals. In fact, on site, one of the contractors was Korean and they didn't speak English. And I was the guy to make sure that there was a bridge between us and them.
Okay.
Because they paid us.
Yeah.
We were a subcontractor. And I was like, my gosh, man, I have to find ways to get these people to listen. How do you do that without, with this language barrier? It was very frustrating, incredibly frustrating.
So what happened once you had your you screamed out loud in your car? What steps did you take after that?
I didn't take any steps, but I knew in that moment it was just a moment of knowing. And God bless my dad. At some point, he could see me spiraling downwards because I was living with my parents at the time. And he said, you know, Khaled, there is an opportunity for you to get IT training in a company in Italy. It will mean that you leave your post for about 3 months. And he knew the company that I was working with, and he had a good partnership with them because they did a project for him. And he said, I can speak to them. And I was so addicted to my misery that at first I said no. A couple of months down the line, he could see that it's gotten so worse that he told me, Khaled, you really have to consider this opportunity that's there. and this is not an opportunity that's going to repeat itself. The difference now, it's 6 months, it's not 3. At that point, I had just had enough, and I had broken up with somebody that I was, you could say, massively crushing over for so many years, and it was not healthy at all. I was like, you know what, I'm done. Let's do this. And September 11, 2000, was it 9 or 10? I can't remember. I was on the plane, and I had my Egyptian suitcases. I had 2 large suitcases and a backpack and a small suitcase, and I traveled with my home. And that was a new adventure for me.
What happened? What changed in Italy?
So, I mean, there are so many details to what happened in Italy, but before I moved to Italy, I had a life coach.
Yeah.
And he was one of those that were trained and credentialed by Tony Robbins himself. I come from the school of go for the master, go for the best. This guy had made changes in my life that were amazing in such a short period of time.
What's his name?
Dave Blomsterberg. I'll never forget this man. I was his client for 5 years.
Wow.
I'll never forget this man. And he used to tell me, Khaled, inspiration without action is entertainment. And that was one of the reasons that pushed me to go to Italy. And I rehired him when I was there, obviously over Skype. And at one point, in one of our coaching sessions, a couple of months in Italy, he said, so Khaled, we worked on all these different areas. What about your career? How fulfilled are you in your career? I said, I'm not fulfilled at all. He said, so what do you want? And that's like the coaching $1 million question. I said, you know what, Dave, I really like what you're doing with me. Compared to my psychologist at the time, I'm paying you less. He was expensive, but the psychologist was expensive. There was no insurance for that at the time. And we're taking strides. I would love to try what you're doing. And eventually become something like Tony Robbins. Because in my mind, I thought a motivational speaker and a one-on-one call is coaching. I couldn't, distinguish between both. And he said, you know what, Khaled, no problem. I will challenge you from here until next week's call to find 3 test clients. I will take off my coaching hat and I will wear my mentoring hat based on the International Coaching Federation guidelines. I will mentor you how to coach these people. If in 1 month you like the process, you have to promise me to go and get proper training and credentialing. You can't just be just another coach who's out there with no training credentials. You have to be professional. I said, done deal, man. In 1 week I had 5 clients. 2 of them I helped them start their business. 3 of them
How old
just...
were you?
I think I was 24 at the time. This was like 10 years ago. Wow, time flies. And the other 3 were like, I've had it. This is going nowhere. I feel like you're repeating the same questions over and over again. But it was a learning experience for me to realize, wow, man, I think I have my hands on something here and I need to capitalize on it. And so after I finished my time in Italy, I immediately took a flight to London and I took the training credentials there.
Okay.
And then my journey began. Now, when I returned to the UAE, I was still unclear on what does this mean. How I didn't even think of it as a business. I had an employee mindset. I'm going to get this amount of clients to make this amount of salary. And I'm going to do this over and over again, each week and each month, forever. And we'll get to this later, but this is incredibly unhealthy.
And what is the opposite of that?
Business mindset.
Which is what? What would you be thinking?
You have to think of it as in a way that you can scale your business. So this came later on. It cost me 3 years of my life. And a lot of money down the drain. But I thought about it, okay, so if I die, my business stops. So I have to plan ahead. What's going to happen in the future with my business? If I leave, do I want to sell it? And if I want to sell it, what will be the valuation of that company? Number 1. Number 2, I thought about, am I only doing coaching or can I do more? Can I do speaking? So I started to embrace a little bit of speaking. Can I do something else, like maybe newsletters? This was very early on. Twitter was just new and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I want to write a book someday. I don't know. But I knew that it can't be just my income comes from one-on-one time.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I just decided that, you know what, I'll have this as a side gig. And in that process, I will do something else. And we had a family business at the time in events. And I started to utilize some of my skills as a DJ, somebody who's invested in kind of like, how people feel. And I used to handle AV, and I used to pitch ideas on who we should bring. So if you've heard of Nimr Abu Nassar, he's a Lebanese comedian, excellent comedian. And I realized he used to come to Dubai. I was like, why don't bring him to Abu Dhabi? So created the International Comedy Festival in Abu Dhabi. And we had Ali Sayyid from Dubamidi, we had Mina, his wife, we had Ron Josso from Canada. We had 2 days, he was sold out, 2,500 seats. So, these experiences told me, you know what, I have more than just being an engineer. And then, we shut down the company because of the market and everything. And I was like, khalas, I'll just do coaching full time.
And then what was your first few coaching clients? What was that? Was it company? Was it people? Was it?
Good question. I had a blend of people. Mostly professionals who wanted to work on their non-professional life. And me, I think being just somebody who naturally connects and networks with everybody, I think they connected with what I had at the time. And then I moved up to couples, but not couples coaching, more like separately, because it can be quite dangerous coaching couples without having training around that. And when I was 27, I turned around 2 marriages that were on the brink of divorce. And I sat with my first senior vice president in a company. And at that point, I knew, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm so good that something's working. Let's stay on course. And then it just moved up over time.
What did you do though? Like, did you go license yourself as a coach? Did you set up a website? Did you start paying for it? Like, what was that like, that first?
The number of WordPress websites that I paid for over the years, because I tried to do it all by myself, which was a big mistake. I wasn't sure what to put on the website. I wasn't sure what to call myself at the time. I think it wasn't the website, it was just my physical presence. And Abu Dhabi, not even Dubai. This is all still Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi is really small compared to Dubai, and in many ways it may not be as progressive as Dubai in terms of businesses. Dubai is always thinking forward, and new stuff is happening, and Burj Khalifa and Burj Al Arab and blah blah.
Yeah.
So what worked for me is just networking, word of mouth, telling people about what I do, being very passionate about what I do. Back then, because the coaching profession was new, when I network, people say, you know, what do you do? I go like, I'm a life coach. And they were like, wow, what's that? And at one point, some guy, when I said I'm a life coach, he looked at me from like top to bottom, and then he's like, how many lives have you saved? And to the listeners, I'm a big guy, I have extra kilos on me, and to him it was weird, like, how does this guy save lives? So he couldn't tell what life coach meant. He thought it was lifeguard.
No.
And then now people go like, oh, you're one of those. I digress a little bit. So that's what worked for me in the beginning. I think I forgot your question a little bit.
So when did you go from labeling yourself as a life coach to relationship architect? When did that happen?
I think it was quite sequential. When I was under training, I printed cards when I was in London. Yeah, and I said life coach in training. And I have to really pat myself, you know, like on the back for being so humble about it, not saying I can change your life. I was just very humble about it. And then over time, I was curious, okay, I don't think I can work on all somebody's areas.
Yeah.
And I must be passionate about one area. And then I backtracked. I was like, let me look at all my clients, regardless of profession or status.
Yeah.
What do they come to me for? What are the topics that they discuss in the sessions? And it's relationships.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me embrace that. It suits me, and I do read up a lot about relationships. So I think when I was 28 and a half, 29, that when I was like, khalas, relationships, that's me. That's it. That's what I want to do.
How does that... Okay, I understand how that works out on a personal level when you're explaining to somebody what you do. How do you convince companies that they need a relationship architect? What would they be lacking?
First of all, it depends on the size of the company. So now we have to dig into a little bit of detail. If it's a large organization, it's a different process.
Okay.
If it's a small to medium-sized business, especially small businesses, you have to go through a sales process with them that shows them where they're lacking, what their need is, and then that's when you consult them or propose to them that what could help them is this X, Y, and Z approach for relationships, right? If it's in small businesses, what they're looking for is how can I save cost and get more clients? That's the number one question I get all the time. And then that's when I teach them certain relationship strategies. How can I find the right people to hang around with? What are people's interests? What is my target audience? And many marketeers will know this stuff. But what I've noticed is that many small to medium-sized businesses know so much, but do so little around that. They say, we know this stuff, we should network. But you meet them in networking events.
There's no action.
And even if there's action, they suck at networking. I call them machine gun Kellys. They go to networking events and they just give out networking cards, business cards. So that's one. It's how can I utilize the relationships around me currently and get new relationships so that these people can act as my team when I'm not around to get me clients. How can these people nurture those people around them to want to do business with me? I don't have to do anything. The moment they come to me, then I can just have the closing conversation.
Yeah.
With large organizations, they don't look at relationships because that's maybe a foreign word to them. It's a very emotional word. So the word that you would find there is culture.
Yeah.
And they're looking at changing the culture from A to B.
Yeah.
And then that means that I, as a coach, have to come in with diagnostic tools. And I believe that every professional coach today who works with businesses or corporate has to have at least one diagnostic tool, something sophisticated, you need data.
Yeah.
You have to pull numbers, and these numbers will give you an understanding of what's happening, what they want, and where do they want to be. And from there, you have a conversation about the program that you consult for them.
Okay, so you mentioned that companies want to know how they can pull in more clients and save costs.
Small to medium, yes.
Yeah, why would they go to a relationship coach for that?
Good point. Usually they don't. Usually they either train their sales team better.
Yeah.
Usually they just get more courses. Usually they attend seminars. But I think it's because, and that's one of the reasons why I embraced relationships more. I realized that the market is overly saturated with people who focus on task.
Yeah.
But we are not robots. We have to connect. And I wanted to take on the part that's relationship. I think, in my experience so far, that because it's such a different turn, it's a different perspective, they go like, well, let me listen to that. They've not invested in relationships. It's as simple as them taking feedback.
Yeah.
While this may fall under customer service and customer quote-unquote excellence, but they really don't honestly apply it properly. Especially in the UAE.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've at some point I practiced something very interesting just for my own hidden thesis around things.
Okay.
Something that is never going to be published, if at all. Whenever I ordered food from a restaurant, if the food is so good, I enjoyed it, I pick up the phone and I give them very positive feedback on the phone to the manager.
Okay.
9 out of 10 restaurants, their managers are shocked. There's a moment of silence, like, where's the bad review? They're not used to, this is relationship, I'm building a partnership here. They're not used to this. So imagine if they're not good in positive review, what do they do with negative review?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a frame of mind that companies naturally, they focus on the mechanics of the business, but they don't think about the relationships of business.
Yeah.
They think it's like, okay, Narmeen, I'll hire you. Khalas, just come work and I'll see you and I'll smile to you and say good morning. And what matters to me is that you get your job done. But they don't care much about how do you feel about work.
Yeah.
I don't think many managers or bosses or even business owners ask their people, why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you come to work? What part of you is invested in this vision? They don't, traditionally.
Yeah.
So I think that difference in perspective makes them go like, you know what, let me look this direction and see what works.
So then these people with these, say, organizational problems or just even say they're stuck in business, how are they finding you?
Networking.
Networking?
And word of mouth.
Okay.
My first ever gig was simply because I left a good impression on somebody. They didn't see the way I work. They don't know how I do it. They just had a feeling, you know what, this guy is a good guy.
Okay.
Some of my biggest projects were because of word of mouth. My TEDx speech, word of mouth. People just, alhamdulillah, like I'm grateful. People say good stuff about Khaled. I may have some, what we call today haters, I don't know. But I seem to have done a good job at planting good seeds in people whenever I sit with them. And I think that has gone a very long way with people. That when they consider somebody, they think of me. Second, on a more demographical level, I think it's because I'm one of the very few full-time male coaches. The majority are females. So when some of the projects, especially in corporate, they want a male coach. So Khaled, one of the very, very few ones. The rest are females.
But is that true for business coaches as well?
Yeah, cultural. It's cultural. Some Arabs don't want to sit with a female, unfortunately.
And that has worked in your favor?
Yeah, big time. Big time. And I speak Arabic and English, and I'm credentialed, and I'm ICF credentialed. And
do they check these credentials?
yeah, of course. Corporate today has become so knowledgeable about the profession that today in many big projects they go like, are you ICF certified or not?
What is ICF certified?
So ICF is the International Coaches Federation, and I think many coaches really do not really, even the certified ones don't understand it.
Yeah.
ICF said, you know what, we want to create professional coaches through a code of ethics. We are a governing body that credentials coaches and say, I attest that this coach is a professional coach.
It's like an accreditation.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't train coaches and skills. And so there are many schools and institutions around the world that teach coaching that can go to the ICF and say, we are teaching our modality through your ethics.
Yeah.
So the ICF puts their name on their website. So that means you can trust that school.
Okay.
And
then is this something that you constantly have to keep building your accreditation?
Yes.
Or is it just one?
So I have to renew it every single year.
Okay.
And we have different tiers in that credentialing. The number one is called MCC, Master Certified Coach. Number two is called Professional Certified Coach. And number three, the beginning one, is called Accredited Certified Coach. To give you an idea, the difference between an MCC and an ACC is the MCC talks 2% of the session.
Okay.
What does that tell you about that quality of a coach? That they pick their tools and what they're going to say incredibly wisely. and they give so much room to the coachee and the client to be who they are.
Which is which one? This is the first.
That's the highest one. MCC.
Are you an MCC?
No, I'm PCC.
Which is?
So PCC is just in the middle.
Professional.
Professional.
Okay.
I would refrain from trying to look into the name.
Okay.
But the idea here is it's just about being professional, being supervised, and getting credentialed. That's an amazing thing. And the way they supervise you is they ask for you to send in a recording, and they listen to it with you, and they critique it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm getting quality mentorship. Somebody said like, Khaled, there was in the very beginning sessions of me, when I was applying, my supervisor listened to my call, and at the very beginning of the call, my coachee, in a joking way, I tell her, all right, shall we start the session? In a very joking way. And she goes like, yes, master. And the mentor just paused there, she's like, what's this? And I was like, what? She's like, what's this? I said, it's a joke. She said, no, behind every joke, there's something. Why did she say that? Why did she call you master? So, rewinding back, when we are in a coaching relationship, we look at the coachee as an equal. So something unconsciously in her saw me as better, and that's not good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't leave that impression. And when I checked back with my coachee, she did confirm that she felt that way at times. And so we have one of the things that's important in coaching is coaching relationship over coaching journey.
Yeah.
You have to check in with the client from time to time about your partnership, because the partnership is what's going to empower their results.
Yeah.
So I checked with her, and she said, sometimes, come to think of it, I do feel that way. And I was like, okay, let's clear this. This is not good. This is not healthy for this partnership.
Okay.
That's quality mentorship right there. This person spotted it, even though it was a joke.
Yeah. So these mentors are where? They're sitting where?
Well, they're all around the world. Now there are many of them in the Middle East right now, which is amazing.
Okay.
They used to be in the UK, Europe, and the United States, and even Japan.
And they're also life coaches and business coaches?
Yes, of course. And they are accredited by the ICF itself. They are in the ICF, and I think that's what made the profession even better right now, even though there's too much saturation and too many coaches in the market.
Okay. These coaches, what are some tips you would give coaches trying to get ahead and get more clients?
The first one is to acknowledge that you may have what we call a coach God complex.
Yes, for sure.
Right? So many of them think that they can change you and the world, and they know everything.
This is true for all kind of coaches, like nutrition coaches, yogi instructors. I feel it, like they have a sense of enlightenment that they have to impart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's this guy on YouTube called JP Sears. He's a funny, he's actually a coach or spiritual healer or something, but his YouTube channel is hilarious. And he makes these funny skits. One of the skits was as if he's just in the street, and another spiritual person passes by, and he was like, did you see how enlightened or conscious this guy was? Jerk. And I was like, that's exactly it. It's so funny, but this is how it is. Like,
yeah.
So I can't say all coaches are like that, but I can say that it reminds me of university professors in some way. When you possess so much knowledge, you begin to think at some point that you may know better than others.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of that complex.
Yeah.
So I would say acknowledge that you may have it. If you do, step down and just be a human being and go connect with people and find out where their suffering is.
Yeah.
What are their issues? Because that's when you step away from I can change your life to I can help you get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what coaching is. Coaching is not about let me solve your problems.
Yeah.
Coaching is not about let me make you feel the most awesome person on the planet. Coaching is about you, the client.
Okay.
What do you want? I'll help you get there. Period.
So why should a company approach a coach versus a consultant?
Okay, so a consultant is the kind of person that gives you the tools and tells you this is what we think will work best. The consultant also will apply these tools for you. The coach doesn't give you tools. The coach uses tools to help you get what you want. Number two, it's up to the client, the coachee, to work on themselves using these insights in the session to get closer to their goals and what they're looking for. A consultant is merely saying, I will tell you what needs to be done.
Yeah.
A coach tells you, what do you want?
Okay.
So it's a difference in conversation. One asks and evokes, the other tells and suggests. In coaching, we don't suggest.
So, well, then a business who is driving for better efficiency, more profits, all of that, will they work with both of them?
They may.
Has that been in your experience?
Yeah, of course. One of the projects that I was part of, they hired an HR consultant to do certain things like they call development centers or assessment centers. It's basically where they can just assess a certain person's qualities and create a report out of that. So a consultant will create that and give it to the company. Like, this is how you should do it.
Yeah.
to me as a coach, that can be a great, how can I say, resource. Because I can come to the sessions with that report and go like, now I don't hold this against the coachee, I don't use it with them, but it gives me some kind of a reference point that I don't have to take too seriously, but I may consider.
Yeah. And they kind of outline what the problems are, the obstacles.
It's kind of like in more personal coaching, and I will say life coaching, the umbrella of non-business, non-corporate, everything under that umbrella I will just call life coaching. It's when you meet a client who's going to a therapist.
Yeah.
You can work with someone who's like that. Just acknowledge that you're doing something completely different to a therapist. A counselor or therapist may at times, actually, let me take a step back. A counselor, from what my understanding is, will give suggestions. A therapist will talk about the past. A coach will help you about now and future. You can meet with a coachee or a client that is working with a therapist or a counselor. That's fine. Just make sure that you design with them the difference in profession.
All right. So I know you work with so many different types of clients. You work with entrepreneurs. You work with people on a personal level for their personal issues and relationships. You also work with businesses. What is the percentage divide between these clients?
Right now, it's a 70-30. 70 business, 30 life. At some point, I was at a 60-40. At 60 life and 40 business. That's my percentage right now.
Which one do you prefer?
Where I'm at right now, I think it's a blend of both. And what I mean by that is I'd love to work on personal challenges and goals of the business owner or somebody in corporate, like a senior manager, to help them get closer to what they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, if you're not satisfied with your personal life, it may affect you in your work life.
Yeah.
And some of these people have challenges in that area. So it's still in the arena of business and corporate, but I would love to meet more coachees who are more open to speaking about their personal lives. But again, I can't make that a must, because if I make it a must now, that's my agenda as a coach, which I don't hold. I never hold an agenda. It's, whatever they show to the session, as you've experienced, it's their agenda.
Yeah. So you have, in a company, who is reaching out to you? Is it a manager of a team? Is it the CEO?
No, it's usually the COO or the HR will come and find something, because they talk to each other. The COO is always hands-on. They know what's on the ground. And they work closely with HR. So one of both will get in touch with me and ask me for something.
Yeah.
My role with them is just clarify. Kind of like what I've done with you and what I do with other clients. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, like the assessment.
You could say it in corporate, it's kind of an assessment, but it's more detailed.
Yeah.
And then from there, we define their key outcomes and what they're really looking for.
Yeah.
And then from there, they propose it to the higher management, because they need to get the buy-in of the other stakeholders. And then if that is agreed upon with the budget and everything, then they start to roll out the program.
Which is what then? Are you then training that CEO or training his team?
Usually the leadership team.
Okay.
So it can be the CFO, the CEO, the COO, the HR director, maybe the people just below them. And then that makes it about leadership and culture and everything, because these people have the most influence, despite them thinking it's the others down there that have the influence.
But what does that look like? Are you doing a group training with all the leadership, or is it one-on-one with each leader?
I mean, I've had different, again, it's a program that you design with them. There's no clear-cut program that you go like many people on the internet today, do this for the next 90 days and you'll get excellent results. There's no one size fits all. But what seems to be the sweet spot is coaching sessions monthly with the leadership team. And then...
once a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what 1 hour a month can do.
Okay.
That's the sweet spot. Some others do twice a month or something. And then every other month there is a big workshop for them.
Yeah.
That workshop helps us understand where they are right now, how far they've come, and what they're looking for. And the coaching sessions are made for them to just deepen what they're going through.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So, okay, I understand how you got into the coaching aspect and you got coaching certified, but as a business coach as well, where you have to understand systems and processes for efficiency, right?
No. You know what? When I got into business coaching, that was one of the reasons that slowed me down in my success in that arena, because I thought I had to understand everything about business and I had to know so much about business and the processes and how this happens. No, but I have to learn to speak the business language.
Yeah.
And because I was able to learn how to speak the business language, now I meet them mentally where they're at, number one. Number two, I had to change the way I look at business.
Yeah.
And so looking at this terrible world that's toxic, changing that frame of mind helped me look at these are people that need my support. And number 3, yes, I may pick up a couple of terminologies and understandings here and there, but for me to understand every part of the business and its mechanics, no, not necessarily. But I have to have some kind of, personally at least, some kind of love for business to be able to do it. Because there are many coaches today that get certified and they get trained and they get into business coaching, but they really, really do a terrible job. They just they can't swim there. Because you can't always coach a business coachee like a life coachee.
Yeah.
But you can use similar or same tools.
Yeah.
But the environment dictates how they feel in that session. In my experience, when I sit with somebody who's not in the corporate environment, in a private setting, they're more relaxed.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching over them the time. Nobody's trying to get them to finish something. They're just themselves. They can speak up more.
Yeah.
Right. But in the corporate environment, there seems to be a little bit of stiffness, and it takes some time for them to open up and relax and go like, you know what, I can speak very openly. So it's not about the business mechanics. It's just about the environment and how you meet that person there.
With corporate leaders, don't you face a lot of resistance? Like
Yes, of course.
They want the change, but then when you ask them to be vulnerable and open and all of that.
I never ask for them to be vulnerable and open. I don't sit with a coach and go like, be open.
Yeah, of course.
But what I do face a lot of resistance, especially when it comes to 360s. A 360 is an assessment where you ask their upline, their downline, and everybody around them to give direct feedback about them. And many people hate that. They hate that because now they know what everybody's saying about them. So at times I get the traditional,
But will people be honest in that situation?
Sometimes. Now, again, in my experience at least, if you're Middle Eastern, sometimes you're prone to sugarcoating things. If you're European, Western, you say it as it is. So
yeah, for sure.
Again, I might be stereotyping, but it's just my experience. It could differ from different person to person. So there is resistance. How do I do that? I think it's just a matter of trust. Over time, they realize this person is not here to help me get fired. They're here to help me get better. And this sometimes takes a little bit of time. They need to just trust you. And trust comes when I don't interfere in your world. And that's one of the things I love about coaching. I never interfere in your world. I just come in, I mentally and emotionally meet you exactly where you're at. I'm not trying to take you anywhere.
Okay.
I just sit with you. This is where you're at. Khalas. If you don't have to be the superstar tomorrow if you don't want to, but to recognize that this might have an impact on your environment.
Yeah.
And then it's their choice to do something with it.
So with the number of clients that come to you, what would you say, both within entrepreneurs, individuals, and companies, what would you say are like the top 5 biggest concerns that they have?
Will management listen to my ideas? Am I going to be heard? Will my subordinates and people that work for me believe in my vision?
Who's saying this to you? They are telling you that this is what...
Yeah, I think I'm just answering the question. You said top 5. So I'm paraphrasing in some shape or form.
Okay. So
but they seem to be like these things in business and corporate.
Okay. For entrepreneurs?
For entrepreneurs, obviously, it's always about cash flow.
Yeah.
So will the business grow or, fall?
But
apart?
you go in, but you have to have some kind of insight about that.
Yes,
some
of
kind of
course.
business insight.
Yes, of course.
So then you go in and do an analysis with them, or?
So remember the thing that I did with you in the beginning, the assessing how we're fit and everything. I have a very detailed one for entrepreneurs that we even go to the numbers. And sometimes you'd be surprised how entrepreneurs don't even know their numbers. They're like, oh, I'm making around 10,000. Around. This is your business.
Yeah.
And they have no clue. And I think sometimes somebody recognizing that they don't know something pushes them to want to know.
Yeah.
So that's one. Second, the insights that I get about the business is usually because of the entrepreneur's behavior. So now we're shifting gears from corporate to small business. In small business, the business is a reflection of the entrepreneur's mindset and purpose. They started the business for a reason, and that's what pushed them to get into this passionate world of making an impact and making money. How the entrepreneur behaves dictates how the business will behave. And so when you sit with an entrepreneur, their mindset and their mannerisms and their behaviors tell you a lot about how that business is going to go.
Okay.
It's almost like a marriage. You can tell it's like, I don't think they're a match. It might fall apart in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So yes, I do have a way of, again, pulling data and understanding also the mindset of the person.
So you have different rates when you're working with entrepreneurs,
yes,
individuals, and companies?
Don't ask me about rates.
No, I won't ask you about rates. Do you find a lot of entrepreneurs come to you and they're happy with the rates and... They stay
So
with you for
I
a
get a
while?
mix of that, but also to the listeners, it's important for them to know why I don't give my rates, at least from the offset. The reason for this is I'm the kind of person who believes, who goes to a Ferrari showroom and says, the moment they walk in, they go like, how much is this Ferrari for? Most people go like, let me try sit in the car first. And that's what I believe in. So before talking about price, is it for you?
No, what I'm asking is like,
Right? So are they satisfied with the pricing? So let's talk about that. I just wanted to give that because some people might wonder, why is this coach saying I'm not going to talk about my prices? So I get a blend of both. Some people will say, you know what? I don't have the money now, small business. I don't have the money now. Here's a check. I'll make the money. And those people are a few, but they're great. And they're awesome to work with. And some of these people even come at the point and go like, you know, Khaled, for this week or next week, I'm running short. This might delay the payment. I got no problem because I know how committed they are.
Yeah.
But some people come in and they go like, you know what, man, this is too much. This is too expensive. Blah 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 blah. And they just complain from the get go. You can tell that this person is not going to last through the program because they're already coming in with the mindset of complaining and victim.
yeah.
It's okay.
And what is the ideal amount of time or months or years that you would like to work with an entrepreneur?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 what?
6 to 8 months.
Okay, so like half a year.
Yeah.
And then you usually ask them to commit for that period?
Yes, of course.
You ask them to commit?
I name it. I say, listen, you want results?
Yeah.
You have to stick around. Stick around for the program to be able to see the results. Don't come in and manage your expectations. Don't come in and saying, we're going to make this amount in 1 week. And I had once, he created funnels, online marketing funnels, you know, like the ones that you see online today where you can get an opt-in and an email and everything. And then it takes you to a landing page. He created that as a passion. And some of the goals that he put down, like, I want to make $200,000 in 3 months. Come on. I'm not here to doubt you, but I'm here to give you a reality check. Is this realistic for you? Are you willing to work night and day to make this happen? Some people have.
Yeah.
But are you willing? So those people are the ones that you go, no, it's not about you making this much money. It's about being realistic and committed. Stop complaining.
Yeah.
And let's work on the real issues here so that you can get to where you want to go. So that's one kind. The other kind is super committed, even though, especially in this market right now, it's 2019, challenging sometimes for clients, entrepreneurs to have cash flow.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, like entrepreneurs in general, like you're like putting all your savings for the first, say, 6 to 12 months into your business, and then you think, okay, maybe this is a luxury, this coaching. I mean, there's a type of entrepreneur who think that's a requirement. I've met entrepreneurs who are like, no, I need, this is part of my expense. I need to have mentoring.
Yes.
Which I think is so progressive. It's so smart. And then there are people like, no, this is a luxury, and maybe I'll do it in the future. Do you prefer to work with somebody who's just starting off, or who's actually worked on their business for like a year at least? Like, what stage would you like to come in?
My sweet spot is first year to 5 years.
Okay.
Because by the 5th year, those businesses and business owners, they probably have like a team of, I mean, if they're doing really well, maybe 20 to 50. If they're not doing so well, they might have 3 to 5 in 5 years. So I'll speak briefly why I chose that sweet spot. The first year, they're so passionate.
Yeah.
And we live in a part of the world where funding initially comes from friends and family. And some of those families happily invest in their children's businesses. So they have that passion, they want that help. Anything that helps me grow, I'll do it. Love that. And it's a fertile soil for you to build something quality. So that's great, I love that. And then going into the 5th year, the business owner starts to feel like they've reached a ceiling. Usually the passion starts to run out. The honeymoon phase of the business is done.
Wow, it's 5 years?
2 to 3 years, but then 2 years maybe of denial.
Yeah, like a marriage.
Right. And so by the 5th year, they're thinking, I don't know, and it starts to feel stale, it's not going well. Either they shut it down or they break through. And the 5th year is the breakthrough year. They really have to find that part. And that's why I love working with them, because when you find that breakthrough, they just take it to the next level and they go like, okay, now I can think differently. And that's where my role comes in. And my role is not to help them per se, 10x your business or that stuff that you see on the internet today. But it's more around, let me help you think differently about where you're at. Because you have the resources and you are resourceful and you understand who you are. You know your business. I don't know your business. I have a certain understanding, but you know it better than I do.
Yeah.
I'm just helping you think better and move better and swim better.
Yeah.
And that's when it happens.
So just going into why I decided to work with Khaled, I was in a point in my life where it was like failed startup, failed business partnership, and then I didn't know if I didn't know which direction to take. I didn't know if I wanted to be an artist. I didn't know if I would want to follow international development because that's what I did my master's in. I didn't know if I wanted to work in like I didn't know. I didn't know if I had to be a freelancer. I had to recoup my saving. Like I had no idea which direction to take, and a lot of it was because I guess I lost my why, or I lost like my purpose. And then working with Khaled, I worked with you for like 3 months, right?
No, we actually went to 5.
Did we do 5 months
Yeah, I
together?
went to 5 months.
Almost half a year?
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of it, and I know you faced a lot of resistance from me. Like I was just being addicted to my misery or whatever.
Okay.
And so we did a lot of like visualizations and a lot of really understanding how my passion can meet what I'm best at, can meet where I can make money, like that whole, what is that called? That fit.
What?
You know that fit where you find out what you're good at and what can make you money?
Ikigai or something? It's a Japanese thing, Ikigai.
I don't know. We worked on this together for a while.
Okay. I thought you were talking about a theory or something.
No, we worked on this.
For the record,
a year and a half.
I'm maintaining silence because there's a lot of details I can't just talk about. It's confidential. It's your details. I don't know.
No, talk about it.
Okay.
No, talk about it.
Yeah, it was just a blend of your challenges about loss and how you connected growth to loss. It was like every step had to do with loss. If I take a step forward, I will lose again. If I take another step, I will lose more.
Yeah.
And then that came into money, partnerships, people. And a business owner who's experienced so much loss tends to try to hoard tasks. It's a very reactive behavior in a business owner.
What does that mean?
So hoarding tasks is, you know what, let me do this website, let me get these people together, I'll create this community, I'll make a bag, I'll make sunglasses, I'll create an Instagram page, I'll try to get myself verified.
Still doing this.
So it would be cool if we did a live session in front of your audience. But it's a reactive behavior because when we don't think forward with pleasure and fulfillment, we tend to live a life of short-term results. So we start to go like, you know what, I'll settle for as little as I can get. So I'll try to hoard as many as I can get. It's a very, opposite kind of mindset.
And people do this in relationships too.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, in the dating scene, I know this happens.
So it's a typical thing that business owners do.
How do you prevent task hoarding? What do you do?
So this goes back to, obviously, are you talking coaching or practical?
Like, what's a good tool for somebody who's a task hoarder? And I know so many entrepreneurs are task hoarders, I would say. Like, I'm trying to feel good about myself. What is a good tool to stop yourself from doing that? What's a good way to step back?
Well, you said it. You have to step back and just reevaluate. How is this benefiting you right now?
How do you assess that? How do you decide or find out that you are a task hoarder?
Every business owner has to look at their goals. Your business relies heavily on how well you do in your goals. You have to look at your goals, measure. In 1 month, in this behavior, now that you know that you have this behavior, in 1 month, how did this affect my bottom line? Okay, if I continue this for the next 3 to 6 months, how will my bottom line look like? Exactly. Thank you. You're smiling, right? I mean, look, there's nothing so sophisticated or magical tool that I'm going to put out there. It's just a matter of, I believe in reflection and being pensive. You have to take a step back and look like, is this benefiting me? If it's not, look at something different. I'll give you 2 frames of mind on, it's for people in general, but let's talk about entrepreneurs. A traditional entrepreneur will start with passion, and at some point when they start to lose passion, or they go through so many failures and buy into the failures, that they are the failure, they start to live a life of threat. So I need to keep the business alive, I need to do so many things, I need to make this amount of money, survival mode, right? It's kind of like your home started to catch a fire. Yeah. The first thing you do is run. You're not going to stick around. What entrepreneurs don't do is they don't recognize that, let me slow down. Why did I start this business in the first place? What are the values that I'm living by? What am I willing to do? What's my passion? What kind of people do I need around me? You see, this is now a slower thinking process. The difference between both is what we call reactive tendencies, creative tendencies.
Yeah.
Creative tendencies is what gets entrepreneurs really to thrive. Now, I'm not saying reactive is bad. Sometimes reactive can really make a business thrive, but it shouldn't be your default. Because if you're living a life of an entrepreneur that is completely reactive, you're burning yourself out over and over again. You're not maximizing your potential. So when you ask me for a tool, it's just merely about take a step back and really take a step back, honestly. Take a day, half an hour, 1 hour. Did I give you that homework once where I told you to switch off your phone for half an hour and write down 750 dreams?
Yeah, I wrote down 63.
Yeah. Do you know the average number of people writing down their dreams is about 30 to 40? And it tells you something, that people are not dreaming enough. Business owners need to keep dreaming. Tony Robbins and many others out there say you have to stay hungry. Hunger comes from dreaming. Hunger comes from you wanting more for yourself and your business and the people that work with you.
But why, what is the psychology behind 750 dreams? Because physically, like, I got to 63 and that's when the timer stopped. I knew I could go on.
I promise to tell you when we're not recording. Because I want for the audience to actually do it. And if anybody does it, they can get in touch with me. I know you're going to put your details. And they can get in touch with me and I'll give them a fair assessment of what this number looks like for them.
Okay.
But it's interesting how people go like, 750?
Yeah.
Every single person. I've not met a person go like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah,
everyone's like, 750 in half an hour?
Yeah. So, okay, apart from the not stepping back enough to reassess your goals, what are other maybe 5 more habits that you think entrepreneurs should break, like bad habits?
Another habit is focusing too much on the money over the value. Because the ones that focus the money over the value, I'm not saying they're greedy, I'm saying that they're too stuck in survival. So what this means is when they're out there talking to people, they're trying to sell too hard.
Yeah.
And that bothers people. It's a totally different frame of mind, because if I'm out there looking to buy, you have to help me buy. You have to help me see a possibility. If you're trying to sell me, you're trying to show me something I don't want.
Yeah, it's like what all these like huge corporates are doing. They're selling experiences. The experience of having this Nike and this experience of having this product will make you this. Yes. Yeah.
And so business owners and entrepreneurs today should, if they're solopreneurs, should focus on that. Focus on building partnerships, meaningful ones with people that eventually want to say, you know what, I really like what Nermeen is doing. I want to buy from her. Versus, let me train my sales team or train myself in sales to keep selling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work as it used to be.
Yeah.
So that's another habit. The third habit is go out and network. The number of business owners that I know in the UAE who think they actually go out and network is huge, but they don't. So that's habit number 3. Focus on networking, and networking is not business cards. Networking is when you socialize, when you go out with people and you build relationships.
Yeah.
You build. You don't hunt, you build.
Yeah.
Number 3, just have a habit of going back to why you started the business. I think this is a basic one that many people in magazines talk about. And number 5, let your business revolve around your life, not the other way around.
Say that again?
Let your business revolve around your life, not the other way around.
That's a good one.
Why is that a good one?
Because I just turn into a beast.
Yes.
And I forget everyone.
Yeah, have a life. Because you deserve to have one. Now, many of the new wave and trends of motivational business and life, whatever, talks about how you should sleep on the floor and live in a van and eat tuna out of a can and hustle. You know what? I don't preach to be the right one here, but it's what worked for me. It could work for some people that resonates with them. And it's the same for others. You might listen to another guy and go like, no, actually that might work for me. Make it about you, but just make sure that you have a life. You're a human being. Don't wake up and switch on social media.
Okay.
Don't get into a world of distractions. You have that time in the morning, make it about you. You're the life of the business. Go give yourself some time. Okay. Wash your face, shower, do what you need to do, work out, whatever works for you, but give yourself some time. And if your mind says, we have to check emails, go like, no, we'll check emails at 9 a.m. The emails are not going anywhere. But no, this is our time now. When the clock ticks and it's 9 a.m., whatever time you prefer, go to work mode.
Okay. Well, thank you, Khaled.
No
it's
problem.
Exactly 1 hour, and I know you're a busy man, but we're definitely going to have you back for part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, because I have like a ridiculous amount of questions to ask you.
Sure.
So thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for the questions.
And guys, definitely, you have no idea how much Khaled can help you if you're in a bad place.
Yeah.
So how can they reach you? Do you have a website? How do they reach you?
So reach out to me on LinkedIn. My website is undergoing a facelift. Just search for Khaled Ghorab, which is KHALED GHORAB on LinkedIn. You'll find me on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram. Or my email, khaled@khaledghorab.com.
Thank you, and definitely reach out to him.